Are you hungry?
No, I'm good.
Oh,
I
damn.
actually have a very low appetite right now.
You have a very low appetite right now? Oh, yeah.
Just some
okay.
light starvation in prison, so not really. Still working on getting back the appetite. Been doing like a smoothie diet mostly.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna... Well, this cooks what I was about to do, because I was about to order fucking Middle Eastern food for both of us, because I'm starving, but I won't eat in your face.
Wow,
Well,
that's
you
so
just-
kind of you.
well, you just-
Solidarity
just
is appreciated.
Sit there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we got Quentin Quarantino in the building. He just got back, right? You just got back from Jordan?
Yeah, it's kind of surreal being here because I got back like late the night before last, then went into hibernation because I hadn't slept in a week.
Yeah.
And I think I texted you at like midnight last night. That was like, I had been meaning to reach out to you, and that was like the quickest I could get to you was midnight last night. Like, yo, can I go? What about the stream? But I'm glad you had my friend David on the other day because first of all, we became good friends. We shared 2 boats together. We shared the prison experience. We shared the anti-Semitic experience, and also I think it was good he came on before you. I think it's kind of like a good cop, bad cop. He was very eloquent, and I'm more. I'm here for my therapist is off until Tuesday. This is kind of more of a trauma dump for me. You're like the first person I've seen in person besides my friend Alana, who picked me up at the airport. I have it kind of feels like I went straight from prison to Jordan to your streaming room. So
yeah, well, this is a mental prison that we're in here. But so you're a little bit of background. So Quentin Quarantino is your Instagram,
yes,
right? You and
real name Tommy Marcus.
So when did you start?
First day of the pandemic, or first day New York City shut down in the pandemic. So March 13th, 2020, I was just, locked up in my apartment alone like everyone else. I knew some people who were sick, and I was already like a full-time, at the time, like meme lord, I would say. So I just had this idea to start a meme page about the pandemic because I had nothing else to do. And
the first time you DM me many years ago, I thought it was literally Quentin Tarantino that DM me, and this is before I think either of us knew how much he loves Israel. But
that was a new revelation for me in 2023.
Yeah, so I didn't. This is I was a big fan of his work, so I was like, oh my god, is fucking Quentin Tarantino was like DMing me? What the fuck's going on?
I can't remember if I even responded. I was like, I get some famous people every now and then, like accidentally messaging me like that. Also, you have my page up. It's so weird to look at myself looking normal.
On screen.
No, like I didn't expect my first stream to be coming here like all disheveled looking, but like I said, it's been like get home from Jordan, sleep, text you, wake up, have a smoothie, and now I'm here.
You
So
said just confirming, I'm not Quentin Tarantino. After I reply with a heart to you posting my watching Fox News at a time like this is truly uplifting. They're losing their minds about the Trump raid. Basically asking to defund the FBI, asking about Hillary Clinton's emails and how much sex Hunter Biden had on crack. Yeah, this was all the way back in 2022.
On brand for you.
Yeah, so in any case, so you walk us through, before we get to your experience being apprehended, you were a part of the Samud Flotilla, and you guys bravely sailed to break through the illegal blockade that the Israeli occupation has enforced upon the Palestinian population in Gaza while they were doing a genocide. And you guys had aid on the ships, and it was both to deliver aid directly, but also to inspire others to also do the same as an act of I would say, a tremendous moral courage. To try to get other people to also do the same and show the world that Israel is not as powerful as it presents itself. And of course, Israel came in and intercepted the boats
after a few bombings, but
yeah, that was true in Tunisia and in other places, and of course previous ships, previous humanitarian flotillas that have tried to do the same all the way back in 2010, like Mavi Marmara.
You're Turkish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mavi Marmara was intercepted by Israeli commandos that just went in and murdered a bunch of the humanitarian aid workers on the ships. So it's not without any significant threat to your life.
Yep.
And of course, in the aftermath of the kidnapping, then they placed you in prison. So let's start there actually, and then we'll work ourselves back to your own personal journey.
For sure.
As a Jewish American who became anti-Zionist.
Yeah, and on the Jewish note, like I'm only half Jewish, but I grew up like very culturally Jewish in a town where it's like my hometown to this day, like from a Korean nail salon to a gas station, every single storefront has a "We Support Israel" sign in the window. So like all I knew for all of my life was Israel is the thing that protects Jewish people. I went to a mostly Jewish school that would, like, I'm familiar with actual anti-Semitism, like swastikas being drawn on our school, people saying bad things about Jewish people in basketball games to us, like real anti-Semitism. So
bad things about Jewish people, like, yo, you guys can't dunk like that.
No, I remember we got into a fight once in a JV, not varsity, a JV basketball game, and someone went up to me and was like, I'm gonna stab you, you Jew, after the game. So like that kind of stuff. So anti-Semitism, that word always got me alarmed.
Yeah.
As an activist who likes to help people. But anyway, I slowly realized that word was co-opted to push horrific things. And, this year I've really leaned into being an activist for the Palestinian cause, raised $2 million for the PCRF, and then went on this flotilla. So thanks for the bravery stuff. It's like we shouldn't have been in this position. The United Nations should have done something like this a year and a half ago. Yeah. It's pathetic that the flotilla had to exist, but it did. And I'm so, even with what we're about to talk about, was not fun in prison, and that's putting it very lightly. And the actual trip itself was not without its struggles and fears. Like the night before the bombing in the Mediterranean Sea, I had a friend help me, a friend in the States help me put together a will, because we had seen like the Hasbro increasing about us being Hamas, and knew that meant there was some sort of like increased risk of violence, especially knowing the history of former flotillas. And so, there was a lot, but I'm ultimately like unbelievably thankful that I went on this, and I'm even in like an ironic way thankful to Israel for the way they treated me, because it really, my eyes were already open, but I think I'm excited to tell my experience, because I think it's kind of like, they will, anyone who steps in Israel's way, whether it's Rachel Corrie, David Adler, myself, like if you can be a white American, you can have Jewish blood, and they will still, they'll still torture you, and they'll still, bomb you. And so I feel like I got to get, I guess, like a microdose of the Palestinian struggle. Of course, it's not actually, I had a light at the end of the tunnel. I was only there for 6 days. I knew I was likely not going to die in jail, but which is obviously all this is way different from what Palestinians experience. But I got to see firsthand, like being told we're animals, like in multiple like medical situations, like being told like no medicine for animals, having guns. Like I've probably stared down the barrel of a rifle like 100 times in the past week. So I got to experience some of it, and now I get to carry that with me now that I'm home in cushy Los Angeles, sitting in your streaming room. Yeah.
So walk us through the steps. So you guys get apprehended.
Yep.
Let's start there.
Okay, we made it. So the first boat that I was on with David as well, the family boat, it was like the lead vessel. The engine failed very late in the trip, and there's a lot to talk about with that, but I'll leave it at the captains and crew were very confused at how the engine failed. But anyway, after that, we were moved to the U.S. Veterans boat with Greg Stoker, who I think you know. David and I joined that. And for the last 4 days, we were on that boat. It was a great group of people, and we made it on the night of interception really far. Like, we broke the naval kind of blockade barrier that Israel had created, and slowly learned throughout the night that they were kind of, even though they ended up getting us all, they were kind of like very unprepared for everything and didn't really know what they were doing. They were spraying sulfur water on themselves, for example. It was like their apprehension of us was actually pathetic. And I was live streaming.
It's because it's not, you guys weren't babies. I think that's what it is. Like, they're just, when an Israeli occupation force soldier like has in their crosshairs an adult, they get confused. They're like, what am I supposed to do here? You're not a baby in a crib.
Very, very precise on brown children, and weirdly inaccurate on semi-white boats.
Yeah. I've heard reports from other ships as well. Like, they were getting seasick. Some of the commandos,
they didn't know how to steer our boat. They got lost for we had a map, like a electronic map downstairs where they were keeping us after apprehension, and our captain was looking at the map. He's like, they're going the wrong way. Like,
that's so
he's
funny.
like, he almost wanted to, he's like this very nice guy. He like kind of wanted to tell them, but we just kind of let them figure it out. And eventually they did make their way to what they call their home, brought to this center, like the port
before Ketziat.
Yeah, before Ketziat, like the port. And we're put in, I think what many people saw, like we're all in that like classic kind of prisoner position with our heads down, sitting upright. And then we were there for like 6 hours, but 2 hours in, two IDF soldiers come up to David and I, and they're like, "Are you Jewish?" And they knew who we were. It was very clear. And, you know, we said yes. And then they picked us up, dragged us to the back, made us put us in this corner where Greta was in the corner, either holding or draped in an Israeli flag. I can't remember. And then they made David and I like sit upright, staring at an Israeli flag, like looking at the Star of David on the flag that I've watched kill tens of thousands of children was going to do something, but they apparently thought it would.
You just lock eyes with the flag and you're like, oh my God, I was so wrong.
And then they're going up to David and I. They're like, so you're born in New York, David, you're born in LA. Like, do you speak Hebrew? And we're like, no. And they're like, oh, not real Jew. I'm like, okay, like I don't fucking care. But anyway,
I've heard this like this dynamic constantly reinforced by like a lot of people in Israel, where on the one hand they'll be like, this is the only safe place for Jews. Everywhere else is terrifying for Jews. You have to come to Israel. But then they'll also be like, oh, you fucking American Jews, like living in the West in your cushy lives. Like we're out here in the desert, like, you know, having to do all of the horrifying things that we have to do. You will never understand it. It's like, okay, well, you don't have to do those things.
Yeah, I've been told for years. I've been told for years by Zionists, like, just go to Israel and you'll understand. And you know, I just went to Israel and I found it to be an anti-Semitic hellhole in addition to a genocidal apartheid state. But yeah, so we're sitting there, we're staring at the flag, David and I, and after an hour of flag staring, they had finally let Greta off, and then everyone is facing the other direction from us. And two soldiers come and grab David and I, drag us out of the fenced-in area, like that you can't see through. And so now we're sitting outside of everyone else, and we're like, what? Looking at each other, like, what the fuck is going on? And then Ben Gavir walks past us with like a posse of his 40 Nazi soldiers around him, and that was like, David is more of a politically savvy and maybe more calm and collected guy than I, and like, when we saw Ben Gavir, it was like, oh, we're fucked, because we really thought that with the naval vessels and the kind of, even though Italy did end up complying with Israel, like there was a certain agreement they made, like you can't kill anyone, that we understood to be, we thought Ben Gavir had lost like all of we're going to charge them as terrorists, we're going to treat them like terrorists, until we saw him physically, and then that's when we knew we were fucked. And then he goes in, without like, we're just the only two not there. And we're like, what is going on? And there's a clip of him yelling at the Flotilla members for 10 seconds. And the reason it's 10 seconds is because everyone started yelling at him. Like, even with guns drawn at them, they started yelling genocide, like pig, like, you know, everything. And Yasmin, one of the steering committee members, she was dragged out, like we watched her be dragged out, like by her arms, like with her feet dragging, like very violently. She is such a badass, just like screaming at the top of her lungs about the genocide. But he didn't really get that photo op that he really wanted. They did get that nice little 10-second video, but they failed to mention that they had strangely brought the two to three people with Jewish heritage out of the group for this strange photo op. And then after that, they take David, Yasmin, and I first through the processing facility. And we're sitting there, and Ben Gavir comes up to each of us, like one by one, with cameras behind him, and tells us we're terrorists and we support terror and we're a disgrace. And I was expecting to see those videos when we got out, and they're not out. And I think it's because, you know, I gave him a death stare. I'd love to say like I yelled at him. I didn't. David like kind of like spit on the floor near him.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yasmin yelled at him. So he didn't get that video that he wanted. And then from there was zip tied, blindfolded, beaten, thrown onto a bus. My back hurt so much at that point that I slept on the 4-hour drive to the prison. I slept on the floor, like head to head with Tiago, the kind of, I guess you would call him like the de facto leader of the flotilla, for two different reasons. I was in pain and freaking out and had to be on the ground. Tiago, I think, just like literally hadn't slept in 7 days. Yeah. So I think that was his first moment of peace. And actually,
this was also his like second go at being apprehended, because he was in the first flotilla as well.
Yeah. But I think from there is when it started to become unprecedented for the prior two flotillas and kind of what we were known to expect. Like, on my possessions, I only had my passport and my prescription for Lexapro. And I was told by previous flotilla members, like, yeah, they'll let you have like medicine that like is tough to come off. And you know, they threw it out in front of my face while I was like, hey, I actually need that. And they're like, don't worry, you'll get it in prison. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll believe. I have no choice but to believe the Nazis. But we get to the camp. We're put in a cage, all of us, and then slowly like stripped and put into our little outfits with little sandals that were half the size of my feet, and thrown into very overcrowded cells with very unsanitary drinking water situation, and we're starved. I actually wasn't planning to hunger strike, and I ended up hunger striking because they starved us.
Well, to be fair, you would have had the Israeli food.
Yeah.
So
what Israeli food?
They, like, I don't know. I feel like
I thought hummus was an Israeli food until like 2.5 years ago. Embarrassingly, that's my bad. But we got to the cell and one of the guards called me Tommy instead of my legal name Thomas, and that's when I started to become really concerned about like me personally.
Was he like had he seen the memes? He's like, you are very funny memes, but you hate Israel.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
I think memes are funny. Why do you hate the Jew?
You know, they are some of the dumbest people I've ever met. And also, you know, I started to realize I was like looking pure evil in the face. Like we're in the prison. That prison doesn't even feel like the right word. Like it, maybe internment camp, something like that. Yeah. But like we're in the prison that holds a large number of Palestinians, a large number of Palestinian children. So these are the same guards that are torturing and killing Palestinian prisoners. And from the get-go, they kind of made it clear that we were also considered subhuman animals, just like the Palestinians are considered to Israelis. So we were alarmed. But again, like, you know, I knew what I was in for the most part. Like I had been described by like Chris Smalls is a friend. Like we talked a lot before I went. Like he told me a lot about his experience. He had it extra bad in the last one, and he was like, he was worried about me, and I was like, I'm half Jewish. Like I have things going for me that I feel like are gonna make it kind of okay. I wasn't correct. Yeah. So like my medicine was a problem, but by the second day it became clear that they were withholding insulin from an 80-year-old man, Paddy Kelly, this old Irishman who was on the family boat with me. And they were already treating us very terribly, but this is, we started as a kind of combined group, the however many hundreds of us in this cell block, like yelling like insulin for room 16 over and over again in like a chant to try to get the guards' attention. And after a few hours, it did get their attention, but they were dancing to the insulin for 16 chant. And this man is going to keel over and die if he doesn't get his insulin. So, we're really starting to ramp up the protests. Like I'm yelling a lot at the guards, calling them Nazis, yelling about just, I was a bit abrasive, I would say, with the Nazis. So finally it had been 24 hours at this point of like trying to get Paddy his insulin, and they just wouldn't do it. And there was a Turkish man in my cell as well, who it was less urgent, but also needed like a diabetes, how you check your glucose levels and stuff. And he was starting to be really dizzy because he was being starved. So it was getting like critical for them. And so in my cell, a Norwegian man named Samuel, all of us decided, but he was like the leader, and he's also only got out yesterday. We were like, okay, we have to. They every hour they would come in. The IDF soldiers would come in with rifles drawn at us and yell. It was like part of the no sleep torture, sleep deprivation torture thing, like little Guantanamo Bay thing. But we decided like, okay, the next time they come into count, which by the way, I've learned Israelis are really bad at counting. It takes them a long time, but sorry. But like we decided like, okay, we're going to hold up a blanket and all hide, like the 20 of us are going to hide in the bathroom holding up the blanket and say like, we're not coming out until you give Paddy insulin. And their reaction to that was,
where did they go?
No,
they have escaped.
Like we don't know what's behind. Like I'm not gonna do the Israeli accent, but they were yelling at us like we don't know what's behind you, and we're going to shoot.
They were spooked. They have no object permanence.
Yes, no, literally.
Oh no, Itamar Ben-Gvir is gonna get so mad at us.
Yeah, they've stripped us of all of our things. Like it's literally impossible that we have like a weapon or something. But they're yelling like, we have no way to know what's behind you, and we're going to start like put the lasers on our foreheads and stuff, and start counting down like 5, 4, and when they get to 3, I'm starting to like push Samuel like, dude, drop the blanket. Yeah. He's like this 6'5", like Thor built Norwegian man, and he didn't drop it until 1. And I thoroughly believe that if he held it to 0, we were all going to be shot. Like there was a clear directive of like, hold off, like try not to kill these people. There was a line that we were able to see that Palestinians don't get to see in that prison. Yeah. But at the same time, like that little window of, oh, we don't know what's behind the blanket, and you can draw comparisons to the way they just, annihilate civilians in Gaza, on a much larger scale. But, they were ready to kill us. And from there, it got, that was when like fear started. And I was also like separated from all the Americans on purpose and kind of in like the bad boy cell. I would come to learn after like meeting some of the people I was sharing the cell with. And by bad boy, I mean like incredibly sweet Arab men who had been called horrible things by Israel and are just like nice people and nonviolent people. But third day, everyone starts to like half of the prison is emptied. Like the countries that had been supporting their citizens, like everyone starts to leave. Yeah. And we don't. And again, like I like in my kidnap message, I'm like, as an American passport holder with Jewish blood, I will likely be fine. And like, it starts to settle in on me. Like, I don't know if we're getting out of here. Like, based on how they're treating us, what they're saying to us, we have no contact with the outside world, no lawyers, no anything. You know, I'm just yelling at them like, I need a Nazi lawyer. I need a Nazi doctor.
Your closest American like representative happens to be Mike Fuckabee.
Yeah, no.
And your senators are massive AIPAC stooges, our senators.
Yep.
So I don't think they made any statements.
Nothing. We got to meet.
Ro Khanna was the first to come out and immediately demand the return of the American citizens. Yeah. And I mean, even like after the second day, it became clear to me that like I talked about this as well. Like I think they were trying to punish you guys.
Oh yeah, it was
like the American government was like, "Fuck you!" Like, how dare you do this?
We met. I think David told you when you had him on, but we got a 20-minute visit with the U.S. Embassy, not Huckabee. We thought it might be Huckabee. It was just like it was these three people who just basically told us like, "Hey, we're so sorry you're here. We actually can't get you water." Like every other country was like bringing like water, and like I think the Greek government brought cigarettes and cake for their people. Like sorry, we can't get you water. As you know, the U.S. doesn't have any jurisdiction over Israeli authorities, and we all just start fucking laughing. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we have no jurisdiction except,
it was like the most outrageous thing.
We pay for the guns that they're like pointing at you.
Well, yeah, that was something I started like on that day. I started yelling at the guards like our taxes bought your fucking shirt. Yeah. Like, from there we knew we were abandoned by the U.S. They let us fill out this little form, and I think it got out that like someone hurt my back. But like the actual form, what I wrote on the form is like, we're being tortured. Like, please help us. Like, some people are gonna die. And that wasn't like, I can't believe it, but that was not hyperbole. It was like, you know, we're not sure what's going to happen. And by that evening, like, again, I was separated from all the Americans, which like by a country thing is very stressful because I was sharing a cell with Turkish, Tunisian, and one Norwegian man. So I didn't really have contact with Americans besides yelling out of my cell like, "Yo, David, you still here?" Because I was so nervous he was going to get let out.
Oh, yeah. You thought like the rest of the Americans were going to get let out. And leave
so
you
like
in there.
once every 6 hours, I'd yell to his cell. He'd confirm he's still there. Yeah. And then we'd like have a little, I'm like, dude, are we like not getting out? And, you know, that's when it started to build. Again, like I'm going to refer to David as the more rational minded person. In my head, I started to think like we're going to be political prisoners. Maybe I'm freaking out a little too much, but it's starting to feel like we're going to be long-term political prisoners.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of like yelled that to David over the loud music of the October 7th video that was playing over and over again for days.
Oh, you didn't mention that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Wait, was it the secret one that they don't show anybody?
No, it was one that I had watched on October 8th.
Because the secret one, I think Owen Jones is like the only Western reporter that I know of that has like maybe seen the secret one, but I suspect that there's a lot in that they just like put together from like other conflicts, like a lot of the videos that were floating around on October 7 and onward that were from like Syria or numerous other places that they were like that they had cut together to be like, this is what Hamas is doing.
Oh yeah, and you know, like a 5-minute clip of the burned bodies in those cars that you know were, you know, I don't think gunfire really burns bodies like that, but that's a whole nother conversation. But it would also take the guards about 35 minutes to set up the TV. They had it took 7 guards to set up they were so proud of it, and like they would, especially to David and I, would be like, look, this is like, watch this part, and like, yeah, we fucking have watched it for days. We're aware. But anyway, David from his cell like confirmed the same fear that I had, like that he had the same fear, like we're gonna be in here for months or years, because at this point the prison is 10% filled, like almost everyone has gone home. So, and we're starving, we're thirsty. I haven't been let out in days. besides that one little walk to the embassy and back, like I was not. We were tracking the time by sunlight, and I was losing track. Like I kept asking people like, how many days have we been in here again? And I might be even getting the days wrong as I like recount this. But like I'm also like, you know, Lexapro is not very fun to like cold turkey quit. And I later found out that every other man who was prescribed a medicine like that, whether it be Lexapro or some other like SSRI, they were all getting it except me. I found that out on the last day.
Oh, so they were just like not giving you the
specifically
medicine.
Me.
Like you're the bad boy.
Yeah. My videos got like 125 million views over the month, and I was really taunting Israel publicly. I was really taunting Ben-Gvir publicly, and I don't regret any of that for a second. I'm actually quite happy that I did all of that, but like they did give me a different treatment. I want to be clear, like some of the men from North African and Arab nations were physically tortured more than me. But it was clear they had like this psychological directive to fuck with me, and it was working. Like they did by like day 4 crack me. I was a bit feral by then. Like I was really yelling at the guards and like confronting them. I spit on one of the guards. He didn't like that, and then I gaslit his coworker Nazis that. I was like, I didn't. He's pointing at me like he spit on me, and I'm like, no, I fucking didn't. Go watch the tape. If they do go back and watch the tape now that I'm here, I did it. I did actually spit and landed it.
It sounds comical how stupid these guys are.
They're the dumbest. They're simultaneously the most evil and the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. So like there was a level of pity that I felt for a few of them. But it wasn't like, you know, I met hundreds of these people. It wasn't like there was like one nice guy walking around like, hey, sorry about this. Like everyone here is crazy. Like they were all loving it. In fact, like I think this was the most fun they had in a while. Yeah. Because as they would tell us, like they all believe that every baby and any photo of a child in Gaza is AI, but then also in a contradictory fashion, they also believe that every child in Gaza is a future terrorist who should be killed. It's like, you know, you should pick one or the other. Like you can run with your bullshit.
That's funny because like, look, with your Jewish upbringing, I'm sure you've encountered Nazis who say the exact same thing about the Holocaust, where they'll be like, the Holocaust was fake, but also it's good that it happened and more of it should have happened. Yeah. But it's also fake. Yeah. And it's the exact same like fascist dynamic that you hear from people who are pro-Israel, who will be like, it's not a genocide, but also the Nakba wasn't real, but also we are going to do another Nakba. And it's really good because you deserve the Nakba because you're all terrorists who would then do a genocide on us potentially. Yeah. You know,
it's great to read Hebrew tweets from like Israeli politicians because it's always like a kind of decoded version of the bullshit that they've spat at the West. And so, they were doing that with the Flotilla. They do that with Palestinians for, not just the past 2 years, but since 1948. And we got to experience some of that hell, just a taste of it. And
someone asked how many times they show him the October 7 footage in prison.
It was just it was playing on. I couldn't even count, but I remember it was definitely like AI generated drivel classical music that was playing over it. So like I think that's gonna be.
They were respecting copyright.
Yeah. But like I'm definitely gonna have that in my dreams going forward. So good job, Israel. You did do. You gave me some shit song to be stuck in my head, and my back hurts. But besides that, I think they really fucked up with the way they treated us. Like if I was a genocidal Nazi and was given the opportunity to have Ben-Gvir's powers over like how the Flotilla members were treated, given the amount of attention it was given, I would have done the exact opposite. I would have given the North Korea experience. I would have I would have put us up in like a hotel, given us like, I wouldn't say amazing food because we're in Israel, but like, put on camera, like look at these dumbass activists who thought they were doing something and now they're just like sitting no, they put us in a fucking internment camp and quite literally tortured all of us. Yeah. Which is so fucking stupid. It's so dumb.
Again, just so bad. They're so horny for more violence.
Yep.
that they like get in their own way, which has played a big role in how so many people have actually become anti-Israel over these last 2 years, in spite of, I would say, American mainstream media and Western mainstream media being totally on board with virtually everything that Israel has done, and has like always tried to contextualize Israeli violence as like appropriate, and yet they've still gotten their own way, because like even the slightest pushback or the slightest questions that are asked on like Sky News or BBC or The Guardian is met with like sheer arrogance, like endless amounts of arrogance. Like, how dare you ask me this question? Like, this is incredible. And I think that played a big role in opening up a lot of people's eyes to the way that Israel operates. Like, on top of the bravery of the Palestinians and their steadfastness in showcasing their own this Holocaust that was happening to them in real time, that played a role in people recognizing the violence. But then I think even adults that mostly consume mainstream resources were like, I've seen some of these like images,
who I love.
I've seen some of these images, and it's really bad. But then I see, you know, these guys who are yelling in the most entitled, most arrogant fashion, and it's like, why? They're their own worst enemies in terms of like doing branding and PR. Yeah,
and like you said, like I grew up Zionist. I honestly, after October 7th, I made a statement. It's very embarrassing, but I made a statement about October 7th that was reposted by @Israel, like on their government accounts.
So I was about to say that, like, I think it's really important for you to like explain this. For members in this community as well, and in general, because like that's like your growth in this regard is very important. Like, you went from someone who was, you know, making a pro-Israel statement on October 7th to literally going through the illegal blockade and being tortured in Israeli prison over the course of 2 years.
Went through the whole
you went through the full spectrum.
You know, there's two groups of people that I would give the most credit to. First would be Palestinians, both in Gaza and Palestinians who were friends of mine, like even before October 7th, who were like extremely patient with my dumbass brainwashing. But also just Palestinians in Gaza who showed me, like, you know, Motaz is now a friend of mine. And at one point I was told I couldn't like trust his photos, and I didn't ever really believe that. Like, I wasn't like a staunch Israel supporter, but I was just like, I was following like the Bernie Sanders line of like, hey everyone, like this war is pretty terrible, and what about that Netanyahu guy? You know, I didn't realize at the time like how fucking harmful that was with my big platform, and also my ability. Like, I've raised the most money, crowdfunded the most money of anyone on social media ever. And I wasn't doing that for Palestine for like a year, and it started a year and a half. And it started to really eat me up, because over the following year, the second group of people that I owe the most thanks to for helping change my mind are Israelis and Zionists. See, like, because I'm not an idiot. I was brainwashed because of my upbringing, but I am also like someone who's covered like the Ukraine war, the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. Like, I am experienced in like horrible situations, and I was slowly seeing like, wow, this is like not like those things at all. Like, they're just literally slaughtering children. And then anytime I would be so scared every time I made like a post that was like, Bernie Sanders says there may be like war crimes happening in Gaza. And, you know, even on those milquetoast statements I'd put out, I would get messages like from longtime Zionist followers, like, hey, Tommy, like, I don't think you understand, but like this post is like the reason that Jews get murdered all around the world. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like, no, your statements is the reason why anti-Semitism is exploding.
And so by this year, like after the election, it was a real wake up call when Trump won. And I started to really get intense. Like, I did know summer of last year that it was a genocide. It was a mixture of like cowardice and also like a wrong belief. Like, I kind of followed the Democrat line of like, let's just shut up about it until after the election, try to beat Trump, which in hindsight moronic, harmful, but like I didn't know any better. But then after Harris lost, I was like, first of all, ashamed of my work. And then like I took a couple months off and I came back and I was like, I have to start doing things about the genocide. Like I have the power to directly help children. And then I did. I raised $2 million for the PCRF, or 2.2 million, something like that. $1 million of which went to feeding mothers and children in Gaza. And $1 million of which has gone to surgeries for evacuated children who are like amputees. And I'm actually going to Jordan and Egypt in a month with the PCRF to meet some of those children.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. And then so, as I'm doing this, like I'm getting blamed when Israelis are killed. I'll get the messages by the thousand. Like I started becoming a real Zionist on social media. Started to really like fixate on me because I was like, the guy with the Jewish background who was like, I was so fucking wrong. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I did not realize, because that's another thing that I didn't mention.
I do think it takes a lot to like say publicly as a public figure to say that you were wrong on something like this. Obviously, like the thing that you were wrong on is incredibly consequential. But like even then, most people don't do that.
Yeah, and I've seen, I hope this doesn't sound like me patting myself on the back, but I have seen like some like blue MAGA Democrat influencers like start to post about the genocide, and then in a way where they're kind of like pretending like they've always done it. And for me, it was like, there's no way I'm just gonna like ease this stuff in and be like, oh yeah, I was like, that's not helpful. Like people remember, I was unfollowed by plenty of pro-Palestinian people and Palestinian people who had loved me until 2023 and were like, oh my God, like he just doesn't get it at all. Like they knew me as someone who helps, like even in the Middle East. Yeah. And so like I said I was really fucking wrong, and I'm so sorry. And like I noticed as I ran with that and telling my audience and the other people watching like how wrong I was, why I felt I was wrong, the things that made me change my mind. Like I noticed myself for a few months, like just via direct messages. Like I honestly think I changed tens of thousands of minds. And
it is that 100%. That's why I've always tried to explain to my audience how important it is to be open-minded to people who are going through that change. Obviously, some people
I'm a good example. I watched your shit and I thought you were like, I had been a fan.
Did you think I was being anti-Semitic?
Yes. I thought Hasan here was problematic.
Yeah, because he told me that. And I mean, I give you mad props for that. Even we were at the ICE protest, and you came up to me and you were like, "Dude," I think it was on camera. But you were like, "Dude, I've been a fan for years, and then after October 7, I thought you were being anti-Semitic." But again, that's why it's very important for, I think, people in my community, people all around, to be much more understanding, and recognize like what people's like initial perspective is. Because when you're inundated with this kind of propaganda, it's very difficult to shake yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Especially if you are in a Jewish community in particular, but even if you're not, like, this is just, there is a lot of financial investment that Israel and Zionist groups have put into making this be the normative position, making the pro-Israel position be the only position that is ever spoken about, if spoken about at all. And so that's why I think it's great for you to walk people through your journey and like reflection and changing your mind, and be open about that as well. Because I think rehabilitation, unfortunately, is oftentimes lost in this conversation. There are a lot of people who are very progressive, very open-minded, and they never really consider like systemic factors and the social conditioning that plays a major role in why people believe the things that they do. And I think it's great to be able to overcome that. It takes a lot.
Thank you.
Props to you for that.
I appreciate it. It wasn't easy, but also like it's the bare minimum that I could have done after accidentally like running an apology tour for a fascistic genocidal war machine that is, I think most importantly, just like it's not a country that is based on religion. It's based on murder. And that's something I really didn't understand until this year. And I owe a lot of credit to like some of my Palestinian friends, some of them who are activists like Alana Hadid and Janan Matari. I have to give, like, I basically contacted them when I knew I was, and I was like, Alana had been a friend for many years, and I was just like, I need help. Like, I know that I'm wrong now, but like, I still like had this, like, oh, I mean, Israel there must have been like a reason for the Nakba. Like, it must have been the Holocaust. And then like, the more that I learned, the more that I read and watched and talked to smart Palestinian people, like the more that I realized that it was never about that. At all. So that was the biggest wake up call, is that like, you know, nothing began on October 7th. It was just, it gave them a good excuse to kill Palestinians faster. And on that note, faster than they normally do. And like, I'm just getting back onto the internet like today, and I saw on one of the like more blue MAGA type liberal pages that I've worked with in the past, like they posted a video today of Netanyahu being booed by an Israeli crowd, and like the implication of that video is like, look, like the Israelis hate Netanyahu, and it's like, no, like yes, they do, a lot of them do. But all those people booing are not booing like you are doing your genocide and ethnic cleansing the Palestinian people. They're like, you didn't get our hostages back fast enough, and you killed you started killing Palestinians like a little too fast for our liking. And they're still waving Israeli flags, you know.
Exactly. You're making us. Some people have finally come to the recognition that they're looking really bad, which is why I've always pushed for the importance of like academic and cultural boycotts on top of everything else, because like this is exactly what happened in apartheid South Africa as well. Like the white Afrikaners didn't actually come to the conclusion that this structure was unjust and violent. They realized that it was unsustainable because the rest of the world was looking at them like they're barbaric monsters, and therefore they were like, well, we still want to be like a Western adjacent nation, so we probably have to stop this practice. And I think that's really, really important for people in the West to make sure that these demands continue, because if Israelis are not going to change the dynamic of being almost entirely in support of this genocide, is like, you know, the latest polls always have shown like the Jewish Israeli population's approval for what's going on is around like 80%. It's insane, right?
And I remember this one poll from like 2 months ago that I posted on my page, and I had translated it from Hebrew, and like I was like, I had to like run it by some like semi-Zionist people to be like, is this, like journalists, like, is this accurate? And it was that 82% of Israelis are, quote, unbothered by photos and videos of starving children. Like, not that they think it's AI, but that they're just like, they know,
you know,
October 7th,
what's going
hostages.
On. They know what's going on, and they don't care about it. Like, so that is the reason why
Jewish Israelis, to be
Jewish
clear.
Israelis, which is,
there was a stark contrast in the poll with other Israelis,
which is always interesting to me, because like when it's their demographic categorization, which I always try to like explain to Americans when saying this, because Americans will be like, what do you mean? Oh, Jews in Israel, like what are you trying to say? And it's like, no, it's their demographic categorization. That was a poll
conducted by Israel.
You only have Jew or Arab. So if you're non-Jewish, you are categorized as Arab. And it's like that, to me, is perhaps one of the best examples of the ethno-state project to the uninitiated, to be like, they categorize themselves as Jewish or Arab, and even if you are Jewish of Arab background, as you know, Itamar Ben-Gvir his family's from fucking Iraq, you know, he's Kurdish, he's Arab, then you are placed in a different category, and you're you know, more of a person in the eyes of the Israeli state than the Palestinian citizens of Israel are. But yeah, here's the video. When Steve Witkoff mentioned Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in his speech to the hostages at the hostage square in Tel Aviv, the crowd started booing.
To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
It's always nice to see Kushner's face.
Oh. Okay. Okay. To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Like those posters in the background are notably not starving or exploded children in Palestine. They are
they're the hostages.
They're the occupation soldiers.
Well, yeah, they're not even at this point. They're prisoners of war.
Yeah.
The ones that remain. It's it is pretty remarkable how much of a fucking clown show this administration is too. Like Steve Witkoff is in this position because he's Trump's golfing buddy.
Yep.
Like there is no other reason why he played this formative role in the negotiations process, which is mind-boggling. But then also when I talk to people like Jeremy Scahill and we go back and forth on this stuff, it's like, I guess in some weird way, it's better that it's someone like him than it is a fucking Brett McGurk, for example, who is just like a rabid ultra-Zionist and has his own like personal investment in his mind to the cause of maintaining this ethno state and maintaining the dominance of this ethno state. So like, I think he gives less of a shit about Israel and more about like what kind of building developments that he can have in the Gaza Riviera project, which might play a role in a weird way, might play a role in like ending the genocide faster. It's so fucked up, but that incompetence might have played a role in like, changing the way that Israel was operating.
Yeah, it's fun to watch not fun is probably the wrong word, but some sort of dark, amusing character of watching Trump's buddies like try to excuse the genocide. And again, it's like both parties, but Trump's buddies who don't really have anything to do with Israel, but know how bad that this administration is looking, because even Republicans are starting to be like, okay, in a less altruistic or morally correct way, but still being like, all right, why are our tax dollars being spent? Like, we hate Arabs, but stop spending all of our tax dollars on it, or maybe take away their healthcare for all from the Israelis.
It goes back to the like the networks of influence and lobbying. I think that like really pisses off Republicans, because in my experience, when I try to like deprogram people away from having Zionist beliefs, like one thing that I've found with Republicans that to be incredibly successful is like talking about anti-BDS measures in like 38 different states in America, where they're like, what do you mean in the state of Texas a public school teacher has to sign a loyalty pledge to the state of Israel that they will never boycott or divest or demand sanctions from the state of like a foreign nation state? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That usually is what pisses off a lot of Americans who otherwise, especially Republicans, who otherwise do not give a shit about dead Muslims. Like they think like, no, that's great, who cares, they deserve it, probably, they're scary. So that has also, I think, been another way that like Israel has like overplayed its hand and has for many, many decades, I think, grown very comfortable with how little propaganda they have to do, because like the base level of propaganda and influence peddling has been a prominent fixture of American politics. Yeah,
and it's all also built into the things that come back home to the U.S. So like when one of the first things that we saw when we got to Jordan, we got to a hotel after the U.S. embassy in Jordan, and it also told us they're not our babysitters. I know David went through this, but like the U.S. embassy in Jordan told us they're not our babysitters and left us with our passports and no money and no phones. And we just happened to be put up in a Jordanian hotel by Palestinians who were happy to help us. But we got upstairs and there was a TV playing, and I saw the like National Guard sent to Chicago and Portland, and like really struck me about how the militarized state all the way out there is kind of almost it makes people be ready, or I guess like it sterilizes,
It
minds.
normalizes.
Yeah,
Yes, it normalizes and desensitizes that level of like militant escalation.
Yeah.
Amy Cesar and Foucault has also talked about this. Imperialism is fascism turned, or fascism is imperialism turned inward, or the boomerang of colonialism and imperialism. And what's really interesting, specifically in the case of Israel, is that I think with the monoculture that is liberalism, where like Republicans also embody a lot of those qualities, where they'll do like standpoint theory every now and then. One of the funniest moments was when J.D. Vance came out on television and said, calling our ICE agents Gestapo is blood libel. That's what he said. And I just don't think that that's like good propaganda. I don't think American Republicans, especially, are gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Honestly, I think the phrase "blood libel" in a similar way as anti-Semitism has just become so ridiculous. I mean, I have that word said to me 1,000 times a day when I'm covering Palestinian children being slaughtered, and it's like I'll be told that something's blood libel when I post a video of a child's intestines spilling out and like gasping for breath. And like, what's blood libel? I'm just posting the video that the doctor in Gaza filmed.
Which of course has the secondary capacity to just like undermine the historic significance of the term when it was valid and used in a valid fashion. Yeah, one of the funniest encounters I had with the blood libel term was, I think it was Ben Shapiro, who many years ago during the Black Lives Matter protests, when I talked about like the practice of kettling and corralling protesters, was initially the American police departments were trained by the IDF in the aftermath of 9/11. All the local police departments literally got counterterrorism training from the Israeli occupational forces, and Ben Shapiro said it was blood libel for me to say that.
I also thought that was a lie 2 years ago. I don't like. I never looked it up, and I was told by smart people who I trust, like, no, that's like some anti-Semitic bullshit. Yeah, it's like, no, they literally trained the police. Yeah. Like it's a thing that happened. Yeah, just one of many examples of like the Hasbara, even on people like myself who like.
You have progressive values.
Yeah, like I was always I don't want to say always. Growing up, I was a Republican. When I was like 12, I was a Republican. But like Bernie got me like when I was going into college. I'm 30 now, so like for most of my life, I've been progressive, and still I fell for the Zionist propaganda bullshit.
No, but see, that's what I mean. It's like it's very sophisticated. The networks of influence are very sophisticated in the sense that like for the progressive circles, like there is a carve out, progressive except for Palestine, and that was. It sounds crazy to say now, given like how many more people are totally tuned into what Israel is doing and are like no longer oblivious to it, but for the longest time in progressive circles and leftist circles and socialist circles, like there was always the notion of progressive except for Palestine. And that's precisely the reason why, like, even American leftists would be like, well, Jeremy Corbyn, like, I don't know, isn't that guy a scary anti-Semite? And it's like, no, he's not. He's just saying the truth about Israel being an apartheid state. Yep. And now I think this generation onward will be confused when hearing that. Like, will be confused when they hear progressives who were pro-Israel. They'll be like, what the fuck do you mean?
I have a good example of that. Your friend, I think you're friends with Nathan Robinson. He was on your podcast a few weeks ago. He runs Current Affairs magazine. Like, I was introduced to him 2 years ago, like by a Zionist friend. And like the intro is like, Nathan's this brilliant guy who has great politics, but like he's a little kooky when it comes to Israel. And it turns out that like Nathan is like spot on about Israel, and I wish I had been reading his articles and listening to him more then. But I sent him a funny message a few months ago telling him about that, and we're
Nathan Robinson, who was the truth teller of John Fetterman, for the record. He was the standalone figure who was like, John Fetterman's statements on Israel, even before his like brain hemorrhaging,
Before the lobotomy.
before the lobotomy that turned him conservative, like fully conservative, he was one of the few people that was like, no, I think it's really fucked up that John Fetterman weirdly is like signaling that he's pro-Israel when this like block of the squad +4 or whatever at the time was like definitely more anti-Israel than like the average American politician, average American Democrat. He was the Fetterman truther. And I totally at the time was like, oh, he just doesn't want like the Democratic majority for Israel to come after him.
I was in the same boat.
That's the reason why he's just like, because I was obviously anti-Israel then as well, but I was looking at it and being like, you just kind of have to play ball, right? Yeah. Like you should have to kind of play ball to not draw too much ire from these like pro-Israel lobbying groups and advocacy groups. Nope. He was, I don't know, maybe it was a Harvard education. I don't know what the fuck happened, but he was with it.
I knew I was doing something right when my longtime follower, Giselle Fetterman, his wife, unfollowed me.
No.
That was like a real honor for me because I had been checking and I really was hoping to clear my following of any Fettermans because I did help his campaign a little bit. Like I wasn't paid or anything, but I was just wanted him to win.
An undocumented immigrant.
Yeah.
Which is why this new version of Fetterman is extra crazy. Like, I don't know. It just kind of feels like she's doing this like for medical reasons, I feel like, where she's like, I have to take care of my ogre.
Yeah.
He can't, otherwise he just reboots and starts walking in circles or tries to walk into traffic, you know?
Yeah, I'd feel bad for him, but he's a genocidal monster. So
he is. It's crazy that like he sounds like Randy Fine when he talks about Israel. It's like, bro, you're from fucking Pennsylvania. Like you're like, it doesn't make sense. Anyway,
of everyone, he makes me like the most ashamed to be an American because it's like, you know, he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
And
he is so fucking, he eats off the floor.
It makes me question what the fuck I'm doing with politics. Like I'm very disillusioned with politics. I think you are as well. But just on a level, like I don't know what I'm going to do in 2028, which I never thought I'd say. But if they run out like another blue MAGA type, which I think they will probably do. Like I'm not like Gavin Newsom was on a podcast like a couple weeks ago, one of those bro podcasts, just talking about like, yeah, man, like what's going on in Gaza is horrible, but like of course I love Israel. And, you know, I see so many people, even people who follow me and like what I'm doing for Palestine, being like, oh, Tommy, did you see like the Gavin Newsom clip or like the tweet that he did to Trump? And it's like, yeah, good. He has a good social media team. He still is a Zionist who supports genocide. So
there's also a lot of other, I think even on the domestic front, he has a lot of issues as well in domestic policy, like as the governor.
I'm a new Californian, so I'm just kind of getting introduced to some of his domestic fuck ups as well.
Yeah, it's just it's pretty bleak. It's pretty dire. Someone said 5-second rule. Come on, bro. You know that thing has been on the ground the entire time. He's actually eating it directly off the ground. He is such a goddamn ogre. Well, Gavin Newsom recently said that he really liked my work, so I'm now I have to be pro Gav. No.
My bad. We love no.
No. I mean, I will be interviewing him in the future, but it'll probably be a little contentious, I think.
Nobody saw my previous side note.
Yeah. But what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about how you feel disillusioned with the way American politics works. Like, I mean, you just gotta focus on you just gotta focus on allegiances that you can create.
Yep.
And creating networks of pressure and be a voice that will pressure the Democrats to do the right thing.
Yeah.
When they are showcasing their inability to ever entertain doing the right thing. Like even when I think about like the shutdown, like I hate Hakeem Jeffries. I hate Chuck Schumer.
Why?
Because he's too hot. They're too charismatic, and I'm jealous, right? But like what they're doing with the government shutdown, like it's valid. It's the right approach. It's the appropriate thing that they're doing.
Right.
So it's important not to be like super single-minded in any capacity, and remember that like harm reduction is still very important. And
I know there's fights to fight
Yeah.
here, just like, you know, we were both on the front lines of the ICE protests together.
Yeah.
You know, like I fully acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So it's a tough mental balance of like, okay, I need to use my platform to fight Trump, but
Yeah.
also
The way I see it is that I
but
combat.
also
Yeah, no, I am an anti-fascist.
Yeah.
I will combat fascism wherever
you know
it
it's
is.
illegal.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. Trust me. Also, Jordan Ewell asks, really chill guy.
What's up, Jordan?
He said, "Does Tommy have any comments on the Mets collapse?"
We can't. You know, I'm willing to go really far on Israel, but I can't do baseball. It's too hurtful to a lot of people, and the struggle of Mets fans is just not something that I can.
Well,
as a Mets fan myself,
from what I've seen,
it doesn't feel right.
You can always say at least they didn't do like a Charlie Kirk memorial.
Yep. The Yankees,
unlike the fucking Yankees
did. So you know, there's a reason to be a proud Mets fan,
Yeah.
even through the struggle.
Yeah.
So thank you. I won't say that big of a thank you because their owner is not a great guy. But
what
to
sport?
put it-
There's no sports team.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has
It's just
a
like that's
good
like the
owner.
one. Like he spends a lot on my favorite baseball team, so
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I know he's a bad guy, but
There is no.
he's my one evil billionaire pass.
Yeah, at least not fucking Miriam Adelson. Like, imagine being a fucking Mavericks fan. You know what I mean? Like that's gotta suck. That's gotta hurt so bad. Yeah, she single-handedly made people anti-Zionist, I think, in the entire Dallas metropolitan area with the crazy trade decisions that they made.
I saw someone write something about Fiji water. Like, I'm entitled to drink Fiji water after drinking toilet water for a week. In my opinion,
I don't even know
my opinion.
what's the problem with Fiji water. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's. I mean, I don't like the taste of it. That's my only frustration with it. But there was another thing I wanted to talk to you about. It wasn't about disillusionment or discontent, but fascism, anti-fascism. Okay, I can't remember anymore. I'm losing my train of thought here. But
were you sleep deprived in the past week of by soldiers?
yeah, no, I was up all night worrying about you guys. No, I don't know.
Well, I mean, thanks for actually covering the flotilla properly. As I saw, like one of the things that was really shocking when we got out, like David and I got access to an iPhone through a friend in Jordan, and it was just like kind of like a Safari browser, but we got to like read some article. We were like people who just got out of a cave, and we got to read some articles about the flotilla. And it was like, there's this New York Times article that had 3 writers. It covered the flotilla well, covered the interception well. But then there was just like no follow up. Like there wasn't like these guys like just fucking disappeared, and there's like no one knows exactly what's happening to them. Like it just, the coverage ended. So, you know, that's why you were one of the people that I hit up, because I don't.
Yeah, especially when it was like obvious that the American government was like actively trying to punish you guys.
Yeah.
I was like shocked. But I guess like there is no end to the well of depravity in mainstream news. It has been pretty ridiculous. And we'll see where it goes, because like everyone I've talked to, both in Gaza and Palestinians have been able to escape. You know, including Motaz, like everyone seems to think that this time it's different, like that this ceasefire will hold, in the sense that, you know, they'll go back to the previous formation of the slow burn of ethnic cleansing that Israel is committed to.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we'll have a clearer picture of what will happen by the end of this weekend, because that is the technically, I guess, like the end of the first phase. But
there's still a lot of variables that haven't been, to my knowledge. I'm still very like news starved right now.
Yeah, no, there is a lot of stuff. Obviously, like the real meat of the argument is going to be in the second phase. But I think like it's a joyous moment for the Palestinians.
Yeah.
They are obviously, understandably, getting a moment of respite here. And what I'm interested in is to find out how Israel tries to deploy a Western propaganda apparatus now to try to like clean up its image. And I suspect that a big part of that will be to not allow anyone, humanitarian rights organizations or third-party investigators to enter the Gaza Strip to begin to figure out what the true calculation, the magnitude of violence looks like. And then outside of that, I mean, Trump straight up said it. He was like, I'm going to fix Israel's PR.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just keeps saying like our hostages too. I don't know what the fuck.
That's the result of a president who's just concerned with what's being said on the cable news. And, even the cable news in the past couple months has kind of gotten a little bit truthful about because it's impossible to hide at this point. People have social media and are, the ones who aren't just completely falling into the trap of like AI, Pallywood, whatever.
Oh my God,
the Pallywood, even that word like triggers me because of how many times it's been sent to me. But, I think this summer has been a huge wake up call for a lot of people. Just seeing the evil like completely unveiled in a way that like any objective person can't really deny. And so I don't, I'm really happy. I talk to so many journalists in Gaza who I platform, and even like children that I have, like I talk to their parents and collaborate with them. And it's like the saddest concept ever, but they make very effective content to show like, I'm just a little girl in Gaza, and this is my destroyed house type of content. And I'm seeing them all celebrate, and I'm really happy for them. And I just, but I do, also at the same time, have a hard time trusting this plan. And then also, knowing that even with a ceasefire now, with what I know, that just like at best, it's going back to a apartheid state that kills a ton of Palestinian children, just not as fast and not as transparently,
and deprives them, starves them,
manages their food, everything.
So, what can you elaborate on as far as like your personal experiences with like your friends from your upbringing? Like, do they share similar perspectives, or did they like outcast you? Because like one of the things that when I went to the encampments,
glad you asked.
The student encampments at UCLA, a lot of Jewish anti-Zionist students on campus came up to me at the encampments, and they said that they like felt a lot of isolation, that all of a sudden like this sense of community was like taken away from them, because they were like, oh, we wanted to go to Hillel or the Chabad, and it was like they were like, you're either full-blown unconditionally pro-Israel or you're not with us. You need to get the fuck out of here. And I feel like that's it's almost like Mormon style, where there's this like outcasting.
I committed social suicide by doing what I've done, to the point that like friends' parents were writing publicly like, you're not welcome back in Bergen County, New Jersey. And I've been uninvited from weddings. I got uninvited from a wedding that is a longtime friend from childhood. But, another guest at that wedding is going to be Rabbi Shmuley Botich, one of the, who I unfortunately have had the displeasure of knowing for a lot of my life.
No way.
And like
you knew Rabbi Shmuley?
I have unfortunately had Shabbat dinner at Rabbi Shmuley's house.
Wait, make sure you don't show anything on your phone.
Forget what we're, you know what? I'll just, from memory, the text is like, there have been some concerns about you coming to the wedding.
That's crazy.
From guests at the wedding.
They chose Rabbi
Shmuley's daughter, Hannah, and I'll say her name because she like there's a reason been publicly writing that I'm like
the
a
one
vile
that sells the dildos.
Yeah, so she in 2020 tried to hire me to be like the social media guy for her kosher dildo company that she runs with her father. And, even then when I was like proud of my Jewish background and didn't think of Israel as like the evil that it is now, I was like, I think the kosher dildo thing is like a little weird for me. And I was like really desperate for money. And so I considered it but I was so like the whole thing.
You dodged a bullet with that one.
Oh God, thank you. Like, thank God, thank God I don't have to say like, yeah, dude, I ran the social media for a year and a half.
Because it's like embarrassing more than anything else.
Yeah.
It's not even like.
No, I'm embarrassed
just,
like on their behalf, even though I think they're monsters. Like Shmuley, I think is one of the most rabid Nazis in the entire world.
Oh yeah.
Like,
so what's really funny? My funny Shmuley story is that I know from people that I know that have like unfortunately had to debate Rabbi Shmuley when they sometimes go to like they'll host like events right at the Holocaust Memorial Foundation or whatever to like bring an appropriate anti-Zionist guest that's like maybe not as radical as someone as myself, and they'll like Zionists who are there as the representative of the pro-Israel position will go up to them and be like, "I'm so sorry you have to deal with Rabbi Shmuley." Like even people who are pro-Israel recognize that Rabbi Shmuley is a burden for the cause.
Yes. And you know what? I'm honestly, as much as I love the person, or I have a very his like
long
familial history with this person who uninvited me from the wedding, like I honestly kind of agree. Like I don't think I could have been in the same room as that monster without disrupting the wedding. Yeah. So like I honestly like I think they made the right decision, but for the wrong reasons. And I honestly didn't. I was having my doubts about going to the wedding myself, knowing that he would be there. But just one little Shmuley story. There's a chance that Quentin Quarantino would not exist without him, because in February 2020, I was at an event at his penthouse in Manhattan. It was like a memorial event, but I was like walking around his apartment. Like I knew him as a maniac. Like I was walking around his apartment that's like decorated in like news headlines from Israel about like him fighting like Ilhan Omar and shit. And at some point, like my back just fucking locked. Like I just like it got like I from just like bending over and like looking at all of his weird like self-promoting memorabilia. And I hurt my back so much that I was like, I need to go to the fucking hospital. And I like walked out of this memorial service and went to the closest, like I Ubered to a New York hospital. Like I was like, I can't move.
Fuck?
And I was in the emergency room just for the night. And then I got like what I've later found out was like a really, really like early case of COVID from that hospital. Like I was in a hospital with sick people, and 4 days later I was back in a hospital with like insane illness.
Yeah. Rabbi Shmuley.
So thank you, Shmuley. You deserve a little credit for helping me raise $2 million for Palestine and change Jewish Zionist mind. And I think, outside of me as well, Shmuley probably has had that impact on some Jewish Zionists as well, just because of how disgusting he is. Don't think I'm going to be invited to another Shabbat dinner after that rant. But
Megaphonic says, I've mentioned this before, but I've encountered rabbis, cantors who refuse to officiate Jewish weddings if both of the couples aren't Israel supporters. A 4,000-year-old religion reduced to a litmus test over a 78-year-old political ethno-state. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like there are a lot of secular Jews in America, and they appreciate the community. From what I've seen, they appreciate the community, the sense of like purpose. And they don't obviously like keep kosher or anything. They do, Yom Kippur, stuff like that, right? They don't always go the full length as like conservative or Orthodox Jews do. But for a lot of those people, I think it's Zionism has been almost like a perfect way to Zionism has been a perfect way for them to like substitute like the religious side. And instead turn it into like this national project so that they can present it as this like beacon of prosperity in this desert landscape surrounded by scary Muslims, right?
Yeah. I applied to go on Birthright in college because I just knew it as this fun trip where you went and got drunk and traveled around what I thought was like a cool place like Tel Aviv and stuff. And I convinced my Chinese roommate in college to apply with me, and like helped him like construct like very transparently bullshit story about like, but like we were both accepted, and then I was really poor, and I just like, even with the free trip, I just didn't have like, thank God, I just didn't have enough money in my checking account to be like, okay, like I'm down to go on this free trip across the world.
Man, you could have had a very different. You could have had a very different.
For
life.
all I know, if I went on that trip, I would have been brainwashed so much that I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah,
so
you would be living with your IDF wife.
Yeah,
right now in Tel Aviv.
Just like my non-friend Quentin Tarantino, who
yeah,
he did once say I have a license that other people don't have on a podcast. But at the same time, I did have to like change my avatar and stuff because Israelis specifically were mistaking my account this year as being him, and it caused, without going too much into detail, it caused some issues.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
dude.
and like I am
He's
at the point where like
you stopped him from sucking toes.
Yeah.
He was like, "Come on, man! I'm in Tel Aviv. I'm sucking IDF toes out here, and you're fucking the bag up for me."
To his credit, not that he deserves really any, but I've been allowed to keep the username, and I love the username, and at the same time, like I pulled up your stream like 5 hours ago when you said my name. Everyone's like, "Don't you know that Tarantino's design?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Fuck, man, I should like change it to QQ."
I think that
at
was
some
literally
point.
the first thing I told you at the ICE protest, where I was
yeah.
like, "Did you know?" Like when you told me, you're like, "Oh, I became an anti-Zionist." I was like, "Do you know how fucking like I didn't know it either. I was a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino." Like I
have a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood poster on my wall.
Like I was like I knew he was a weirdo, right? But I always,
but in like an
said,
admirable way.
He's a weirdo. He's a director. That's how directors are. That's how good directors are. You know, like that's the way I thought about it. But then then I found out he just like straight up lives in Israel. Is he? He's not Jew. Is he Jewish?
I know his wife is Israeli. I don't remember 100%, so I don't want to. I don't want to answer falsely.
I don't think he is.
I'm already in hot water with him. You know.
Yeah. Let me see. Quentin Tarantino.
My guess was no.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Someone said he's Italian 100%. I feel like that's true.
Also, Inglourious Basterds was awesome.
Oh yeah,
such a
objectively fucking sick
such
movie.
a good movie. What is this? Naz Hashem. Quentin Tarantino, though not Jewish himself, has developed significant connections to Judaism through his marriage to Israeli singer and actress Daniela Pick. The couple married in 2018 in a Reform Jewish ceremony, which included traditional elements such as chuppah, is that how you say it? I don't know. And was officiated by a Reform rabbi living part-time in Tel Aviv. Tarantino has embraced various aspects of Jewish culture and traditions.
Said he likes Shabbat dinner.
Yeah, I like. Well, that's.
I mean, I do. I had some good dinners at Shmuli's house. You know,
yeah. It's also
still a Nazi.
It's like. It's like, come on, Shabbat is awesome. That's like, okay, who doesn't like a Friday dinner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you get together with your family and have dinner. Tarantino is also learning Hebrew. Oh my God, he's learning. He's learning Hebrew. To better connect with his family and surroundings, he has mentioned that he watches Hebrew children's shows with his son to improve his language skills. In recognition of his ties to Israel and cinematic achievements, Tarantino received the honorary degree from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in 2022. While Tarantino has adopted certain Jewish customs and actively engaged with Israeli culture, he has stated that he has not converted to Judaism. He identifies as an atheist but participates in Jewish traditions to honor his family heritage.
You know, listening to him
those aren't
say
like
that
my
he likes
actual
like
DM
Hebrew children's shows. Like it reminds me, my friend Janan Matari like wrote. She's a Palestinian and wrote this very sweet children's book about Palestine. Sent it to me and I read it, and like even for children, it was moving, and it's not like. There's nothing that should be controversial about it. And it's being like banned all over and like people, you know, causing like parent teacher outrage type of things. Yeah. And the contrast is pretty stark. Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. Well, Tommy, thank you so much for coming on. This was a remarkable experience, and I admire your bravery. You've done a fantastic job. And I look forward to seeing you at the next protest.
Yeah, I'll be there. And thanks for having me. Thanks for having me chat. Yeah. How long are we on? I've lost track of all like time counting in the past week.
You came at like 3:15, so we did an hour and 20.
Awesome.
Hour and 30.
On, bro.
Of course. All right.
See you later, everyone.
Hold on. I'll walk you out. All right, that was Quentin Quarantino.